Okay, welcome back to How the Brain Learns. Today we are going to be reviewing how the brain learns a language. Okay, this is a documentary about the process of the brain of learning, and in this episode we are going to review this topic. Okay, so I know this is not a very common question and its answer isn't that common either. So I start my investigation from some internet resources, and this is what I got. Okay, so yeah, it seems weird, but it's literally right here. At the beginning of our life, our mothers taught us how to name things, how to pronounce words. We identified, but in a cerebral view, how this works, right? So yeah, this is all the diagram, and yeah, all begins here in the air. In order to break this topic down, we should start explaining that all the language decoding begins in the air, where the incoming sound are combined in the auditory nerve as an electrical signal and delivered to the auditory cortex, where neurons process it and lose its thing. Okay, the left hemisphere will proceed to syntax and semantic identification in order to classify words and find their correspondent thing. The next step is a sentence-level analysis, supported by the right hemisphere temporal frontal networks. Some sources say that the effectiveness of this process is so great that the human brain is able to accurately identify words in whole phrases from a noisy background, right? This power analysis brings to mind a great similarity between brain and powerful supercomputers. Can you believe it? That truly blew my mind. But this is not all, okay? But I know we learn this when we are a child, but what happens when we are adults and we want to learn a new language? Right? So when I discovered that, I wondered how an adult brain learns a language. Is it the same process as when we were kids, or how is it? I don't know. So I did my research, of course, and this is what I got. It's very different in behaviors too. Okay, the brain of a second language learner is forced to use more resources to decode a foreign language or a second language speech. In this situation, the inferior frontal gyrus is activated to cope with the new language and try to identify the meaning of the words and sentences. An article said that when we were learning our language, our native language, it was all unconscious, right? We didn't realize that we were learning. But when we are learning a new language, it's all processed by the conscious ways, you know? This process of learning a language needs to be triggered by the person, right? You need to force you to learn. You need to put so much effort, and it's all of time consuming, right? And it's as a result, it's much harder for non-native speakers to reach a very fluency level of the language that is learning than of course a native person. You know, it's very difficult to reach that level without practicing all day long, and yeah, it needs much more effort. But that doesn't mean it is impossible, and has very benefits for the human and for the brain, of course. You can have better memory, the brain connections are better, and it's less probably that you get or fall into dementia. Okay, so yep, that was my documentary about a little bit of how the brain learns and how this process is triggered and how it works. So I hope you have learned a lot today, and see you next time. Please stay tuned.